Okay, in this video, I want to talk about updating records. And we've already kind of played around with this, pull up the workbench, just in here, sort of manually updating things. You just click on the thing, update it, come down here and click apply, and you're good to go. Of course, that's no good for us. We want to learn how to do that with actual SQL, right? That's the point of this course. So how do we do that? Well, it's pretty straightforward. So let's just create some my SQL stuff and set this equal to. Now let's just create a query here. Let's go update and then our table, users. And we want to set something. What do we want to do? Well, let's update an age. Let's update my age. Let's say I just had a birthday. So we want to go age equals 41. Now we use our where clause, where name equals John. Oops, capital John, right? So that's good. Now we need to actually execute this thing. We do that using our cursor as always, my cursor dot execute. And then we just pass in this my underscore SQL that we just created. Now, like at the beginning when we created our table and added stuff to the table, we need to commit this change. So we can run this and it'll do it, but it won't save the change. We actually have to commit it. And we've done this before, so we just go my db.commit and then that. And remember the MyDB, that is the name of our SQL connection here, MyDB from way back when, right? So if we save this, come back over here and run this guy. Nothing happens on the screen. We didn't tell it to print out anything. But if we pull up our database here and refresh this with a little lightning bolt here, we see, in fact, yes, John is 41. Now, that works, obviously, we just did it. But what happens if we have another record of some other John? John at other.com. And John is, 12 years old, and his user ID is, we just leave that blank. Come down here and apply, finish. You see that it auto incremented the ID for us, of course. So now if we run this thing again, let's change the name or let's change the age from 41. Let's change it back to 40. I didn't actually have a birthday. What's going on here? That was an error. Let's fix that. So let's run this thing again, change it to 40, where name is John. Pull this up and run it. Nothing happens, but let's check our workbench, refresh. Yep, here's my name, John, I'm 40, but this John down here is now 42, and he was like 12 before, and we just can't have that. So first off, I'm going to change that. Well, no, let's not change it. Let's leave it the way it was, right? So this is a problem, and that's why you don't usually want to update records using non-unique columns or whatever, or fields or whatever. And so instead of name, you're going to want to use user ID. And that's why, one of the big reasons why we have this user ID column and why it's the primary key, remember, primary key means they're all unique. Every record, every person in the database has their unique ID. So there's only one person with the ID of 1. There's only one person with an ID of 6. Even though they're both named John, we can keep them separate with the user ID. So let's go ahead and change this new John back to 12 years old. His ID is 6. So where user ID equals, and this is not a string, it's a number, so we don't put quotation marks. And let's change this back to, let's make him 16. Let's let him drive. We're not heartless. Kid should be able to drive. There we go. So run that. Let's pull back our workbench again. And boom, now he's 16. So pretty simple updating records. You just use this update query command. This is a SQL command where, then you put your table name, or as users. We want to set age. And likewise, you can do anything. You could set the name to, maybe this was Johnny instead of John, right? So if we save this and run it, just be sure to put single quotation marks in here, not double, because the doubles go on the outside, right? So if you put them here, it's just going to mess everything up. You see, we get this big red bar going, oh, what are you doing? So let's come back here to our workbench, refresh this, see if John is now Johnny, and he is. And that's how that works. So yeah, pretty cool. In the next video, I think we'll talk about returning results with specific limits. So, sometimes there's thousands of results. You might only want the top 10 or something. How do we do that? We'll look at that in the next video.